reiterate the Secretary General's condemnation of the attack. Let me be very clear. The inviolability of diplomatic and consular premises and personnel must be respected in all cases in accordance with international law. The sovereignty and territorial integrity of member states must be respected in accordance with international law.
Госпожа председатель, Российская Федерация решительно осуждает продолжающиеся налеты по суверенной территории Сирии, расценивая их как грубейшее нарушение суверенитета и территориальной целостности этого государства. Исходим из того, что подобные агрессивные действия Израиля, рассчитанные на дальнейшее разжигание конфликта, являются абсолютно недопустимыми и должны быть прекращены.
As the White House has stated, the United States had no involvement in the reported strike yesterday in Syria. Neither did we know about it ahead of time. We have communicated this directly to Iran. We cannot confirm any information about this event. As we gather details, one thing is clear. Iran and its proxy and partner groups need to avoid escalating tensions in the region. Indeed, since the October 7 terrorist attack on Israel, the United States has repeatedly warned Iran not to take advantage of the situation to escalate its long-standing proxy war against Israel and other actors. Iran has ignored this warning. Terrorists and other armed groups, some backed by the Syrian regime and Iran, have used Syrian territory to plot and launch attacks on Israel and U.S. facilities and personnel. Along the Blue Line, the Iranian-backed and armed Hezbollah attacks Israel regularly. In the Red Sea, Iranian-backed Houthis have violated international law and repeatedly attacked commercial and merchant vessels. We will not hesitate to defend our personnel and repeat our prior warnings to Iran and its proxies not to take advantage of the situation. Again, an attack in which we had no involvement or advanced knowledge to resume their attacks on U.S. personnel. Even as we continue to learn more about this incident, it seems clear that every member of this Council should reiterate that all states, including Iran and Syria, have a responsibility to avoid the path of escalation, to stop arming and advising terrorist groups, and to rein in the actions of proxies who threaten regional peace and security. We do not yet have confirmation of the status of the building that was struck in Damascus. Any confirmed attack on property that was in fact a diplomatic facility would be of concern to the United States. Diplomatic missions and their property, as well as official diplomatic residences, must be protected, even and especially in times of armed conflict. As I noted earlier, we are also concerned by reports that terrorist leaders and elements were allegedly present at this facility and condemn Iran's continued coordination, training, and arming of terrorists and other violent extremists. Colleagues, we are saddened and gravely concerned by reports of an IDF airstrike on the World Central Kitchen convoy. This incident is yet a further reminder that Israel needs to do much more to protect humanitarian personnel and facilities in Gaza. It is unacceptable and inexplicable that nearly 6 months into this conflict, Israeli military deconfliction mechanisms are not functioning appropriately. We join other countries who lost citizens in this incident in calling for a transparent and comprehensive investigation. This must not happen again.
It's now crystal clear that Israel's ongoing destabilized and irresponsible actions and atrocities against the nations in our region are a real threat to regional and international peace and security. Given the grave repercussions of this reprehensible act, which could escalate tensions in the region and potentially spark further conflict involving other nations, we call on the Security Council to vehemently condemn this unjustified criminal act and terrorist attack. Iran reserves its legitimate and inherent right under international law and the United Nations Charter to take a decisive response to such reprehensible acts. Madam President, the representative of the United States and United Kingdom once again tried to deny its responsibility for the current situation in Syria and broad region by falsely blaming Iran. Iran strongly rejects these allegations. Iran is never seeking to contribute to the spillover of the conflict in the region, nor does it to escalate or spread the tension to the entire region. Despite expressing concern over the spillover of the tension in the region, the United States tries to misuse this situation to destabilize Syria and the region. The United States is responsible for all crimes committed by the Israeli regime. The savage and genocide acts in Gaza could not be happened without explicit consent and comprehensive political, financial, and military support, as well as partnership from the United States. Ironically, the United States talks too much about protecting civilians in Gaza and also expresses its concern about the violation of humanitarian law. At the same time, it has blocked the Security Council for over 6 months from taking urgent and appropriate action to stop the war in Gaza.
The Secretary General condemns the attack on diplomatic premises of the Islamic Republic of Iran in Damascus, as well as the reported casualties. He reaffirms that the principle of inviolability of diplomatic and consular premises and personnel must be respected in all cases, in accordance with international law. Mr. Guterres also reminds all parties to respect all of their obligations under international law, including international humanitarian law as applicable. Secretary General also repeats his call on all concerned to avoid attacks that could harm civilians and damage civilian infrastructure. He further calls on all concerned to exercise the utmost restraint and avoid any further escalation. He cautions that any miscalculation could lead to a broader conflict in an already volatile region with devastating consequences for civilians who already are seeing unprecedented suffering in Syria, in Lebanon, the occupied Palestinian territory, and the broader Middle East.